Once you hit 60, a lot of men start to notice some unexpected changes in their bodies. Maybe your morning erections aren't as regular, intimacy becomes more difficult, and those late-night trips to the bathroom start happening more often. Most guys assume, well, that's just part of getting older. But what if I told you that in just 1 week, I could help you reclaim your confidence and your manhood? I'm Dr. Samuel Hayes. Over the past 30 years working with older men, I've learned one thing clearly. These changes aren't just about age. More often, they're early warning signs of deeper issues, like poor circulation, inflammation in the pelvic area, and a decline in a function that's essential to men's health. And that's why I'm here, to help you understand what's really going on underneath the surface. More importantly, I want to introduce you to a solution that's 100% natural, simple to follow, and easy on the wallet. By the time you finish watching this video, I think you'll be surprised, maybe even amazed. Now you might be thinking, this sounds too good to be true. After all, when it comes to health, nothing effective ever seems to come cheap, right? But hear me out. By the end of this video, you'll see the science behind it, and you'll hear real stories from men I've treated who thought they were out of options. So if you've been thinking your best days are behind you, let me say this. They don't have to be. And after today, you may never look at this part of your life the same way again. As I mentioned earlier, if you've started noticing changes in your erections, a loss in sensation, or more frequent nighttime urination, I want you to know this. It's not your fault. And no, it's not just because you're getting old. It's easy to blame everything on age. But when we do that, we often downplay what's really happening, and more importantly, we miss a golden opportunity to fix it. Once you understand the real cause, the solution becomes much simpler than you think. You see, the decline doesn't usually start with hormones or mindset. In most cases, it begins with one thing: poor circulation. After 60, the blood vessels that support your pelvic region begin to lose their flexibility. They narrow, stiffen, and struggle to deliver blood where it's needed most. And your sexual function, it relies almost entirely on healthy blood flow. So when blood isn't getting there, sensitivity drops, response slows, and erections become less reliable. But it doesn't stop there. Inflammation, especially around the prostate, can compress nearby nerves and vessels. This not only affects your ability in the bedroom, but it also causes you to wake up multiple times at night to urinate, ruining your sleep and leaving you drained during the day. Add to that a sedentary lifestyle, which is all too common at this age, and you've got a perfect storm. Toxins and lymphatic waste build up in the pelvic region. Natural drainage slows down. Blood gets sluggish. Oxygen can't reach the muscles, and you start feeling it in your body, in your energy, in your confidence. What I want you to understand is this: the real problem isn't aging. It's poor circulation, inflammation, and internal congestion. And here's the good news: the solution is far simpler than you've been led to believe. You don't need pills. You don't need expensive supplements. What I recommend is a simple, natural approach using just castor oil and baking soda. I first learned about castor oil back when I was a medical student. At the time, it was mostly seen as an old-fashioned home remedy, the kind of thing your grandfather might have used. But years later, when I began focusing specifically on men's health, I started revisiting some of those long-forgotten solutions. And I was genuinely surprised by the true potential of this oil. Not because it's some trendy miracle product, far from it, but because it works. And it works in a way that's completely logical once you understand the biology behind it. The biggest difference between castor oil and most other oils lies in its ability to penetrate. Instead of just sitting on the surface of the skin, like most oils do, castor oil is able to seep deep into the soft tissue layers underneath. And that makes a huge difference, especially in the lower abdomen and pelvic area, where blood flow tends to slow down for men after 60. Because it penetrates so deeply, Castor oil can deliver anti-inflammatory and circulation-supporting compounds directly to the areas that need it most. When oxygen-rich blood reaches tissues that have been undersupplied, you start to feel the difference. That's exactly why I began using this approach with many older patients dealing with sexual health issues, and why so many of them experienced noticeable improvements. I remember one patient in particular, Walter, 74 years old. He'd been dealing with poor erections for nearly 2 years and had almost no sensation left. He had tried supplements, even considered hormone injections, but nothing had worked. When we started applying castor oil daily to his lower abdomen and groin, I honestly wasn't expecting much. But just 2 weeks later, he came back to my office with this emotional, hopeful look in his eyes and said, "I can feel things again. It's like my body finally woke up after being asleep for years." That's what happens when blood flow returns. Castor oil doesn't just support circulation, it also helps activate the lymphatic system, your body's natural detox and anti-inflammatory network. This is incredibly important for older men, because the pelvic area is one of the most common places where waste and fluid tend to build up when you're not moving as much. When that stagnation lasts, tissues are starved of oxygen, leading to numbness, coldness, and a sense of disconnection from your body. But when castor oil is applied regularly, the tissue starts to recover. Sensation begins to return. Blood and oxygen reach where they're supposed to go. Many patients have told me they feel a warming sensation and subtle signals in their body that they thought were long gone. There's nothing mystical about this. It's simply biology reactivated by a natural, non-invasive, and accessible tool. You don't need a prescription. You don't need to mess with hormones. You don't need to worry about side effects. And you can start right at home, with nothing more than a good bottle of castor oil and a little daily consistency. But as I mentioned earlier, this is only half the solution. When you combine castor oil with a substance that can neutralize acidity, balance pH, and help soften stiff tissue, the results can become even more powerful. And that's where baking soda comes in. When most people hear baking soda, they think of baking cookies or deodorizing the fridge. But what many don't realize is that, inside the body of a man over 60, baking soda can actually become a powerful tool for healing and recovery. Its real value isn't in its household uses. It's in how it interacts with the deeper tissues of the body, especially in areas where blood flow has slowed and acids and toxins have quietly built up over the years. These substances don't just stiffen tissue, they also interfere with sensation and block your body's ability to recover. I once worked with a patient named Donald, age 68. He lived a healthy lifestyle, ate well, exercised regularly, didn't smoke. But he had been dealing with weak erections for years, and he always described a heavy, tense feeling in his groin, like something was blocked. All his health markers were within normal range. Hormones, fine, blood sugar, stable, no signs of infection. But what caught my attention was that feeling of pressure he kept describing. So I asked him something unexpected. Have you ever tried using baking soda on the outside of your body? Not drinking it, applying it topically. He looked at me like I was crazy. But here's the thing, few people know that baking soda can help neutralize overly acidic environments in the tissue itself, especially in areas with poor circulation. And when your pelvic tissues become too acidic, which is very common after 60, it creates a breeding ground for chronic inflammation. Over time, blood vessels constrict, tissues stiffen, and flexibility is lost. That's why so many men feel numb, disconnected, or weighed down in the lower half of their bodies, even without any obvious injury. So I gave Donald a simple protocol. Mix a small amount of baking soda with warm castor oil. Gently rub it into the lower abdomen and inner thighs. Then, place a warm cloth over the area to help it absorb. A few weeks later, Donald came back to my office with a smile I hadn't seen in all the months we'd been working together. He said, This morning I woke up, and it was there again. I had a full erection for the first time in over 6 years. Now, I'm not saying this will happen for everyone, but for some men, especially those whose bodies have been stuck in poor circulation for years, just the right trigger can unlock the flow of blood, oxygen, and healthy nerve signals once again. This isn't magic. This is chemistry and biology working together in exactly the right way, at exactly the right place your body needs it most. Once you understand how each ingredient works, combining them the right way can create a powerful impact. Many of the men I've worked with, men who had tried countless other methods and thought they were out of options, finally began to see real change when they gave this method a serious and consistent try. Start in a quiet space where you can give yourself 20 to 30 minutes of uninterrupted focus. A clean, warm towel will be the first thing you'll need. Next, mix about 1 tablespoon of castor oil with half a teaspoon of baking soda. Stir until it forms a smooth blend. You can gently warm the mixture by placing the bowl in a larger bowl of warm water, or simply by warming it between your hands. Now apply the mixture gently to your lower abdomen, inner thighs, and the base of your groin. These are key transit zones for blood flow and nerve signals, and when these areas are reactivated, sensation and natural function can begin to return. Massage the area slowly, using circular motions. Don't apply too much pressure. Don't rush. Just spend 5 to 7 minutes letting the mixture absorb and do its work. Then place your warm towel over the area you treated and leave it there for about 20 to 30 minutes. The warmth will help the castor oil penetrate deeper into the tissue, while the baking soda begins breaking down stiffness and encouraging circulation. Many men report that after just a few sessions, they start feeling a gentle warmth in the lower abdomen, a lightness replacing the heavy pressure, better sleep at night, and fewer trips to the bathroom. Some even say they begin noticing subtle sensations returning, things they hadn't felt in years. And from there, real recovery begins. Not just physically, but emotionally, mentally, and in the quiet return of self-confidence and connection with your own body. Just do this 2 or 3 times a week. Be consistent. And most importantly, pay attention to how your body responds. This isn't something you have to do. It's something you get to choose, a simple, gentle way to begin again. Over the years working with older men, I've come to realize something modern medicine often overlooks. The human body doesn't just respond to chemicals or external fixes. It also knows how to self-regulate to heal, when we give it the right kind of support in the right places. There are specific points on the body where just a light touch, just a few focused minutes, can help reactivate blood flow, calm the nervous system, and gently awaken sensations that may have been quiet for far too long. The first point is located on the inner wrist, right in the small hollow between the 2 tendons. Pressing here gently, while in a relaxed state, can slow the heart rate, ease tension, and encourage blood vessels to open up. It's like sending a signal to your entire circulatory system. It's time to relax and reboot. The second point is on the inner thigh, about 4 fingers width away from the groin. This area directly affects blood flow to the pelvic region. When you apply light pressure here, especially while massaging in the oil blend, you're helping activate the lymphatic system and creating more space for blood and oxygen to reach where your body needs them. And the final point is on the foot, in the dip between the big toe and the second toe. This spot is connected to overall vitality and liver circulation. Pressing here gently for 1 to 2 minutes before bed can help regulate your internal rhythms and ease your body into a deeper, more restorative rest. These touch points aren't some hidden secret. They're not part of a magical cure. They're simply a quiet reminder that your body, no matter your age, still has the ability to respond. All it asks for is a chance, a few moments of your attention, and some steady patience. You don't need to do everything at once. Just try a little, one piece at a time each day, and let your body show you. What you thought was lost may just be waiting to be awakened. Once you've taken the time to go through each step, applying the castor oil and baking soda blend, massaging the lower abdomen, and activating those key circulation points, your body begins to shift into an open state. Blood vessels expand, tissue softens, nerve signals start to stabilize again. This is a critical moment because what you put into your body now will either support that healing process or quietly undo the progress you've made. I remember a patient named Michael, age 72, a former firefighter. He was incredibly disciplined, followed every step to the letter. After just a few days, he told me he could feel warmth returning to his lower abdomen, a great sign. But he also said something didn't feel quite right yet. So I asked him to keep a food journal for a week. And sure enough, his daily meals looked like this: white bread, sausages, cheese, soda, almost no vegetables, no anti-inflammatory nutrients, nothing to support circulation. Most of what he ate was loaded with refined sugars, excess sodium, and industrial oils, the very things that constrict blood flow, promote inflammation, and quietly work against your body's attempts to heal. I didn't ask him to go on a strict diet. Instead, I suggested a few small, meaningful changes that could truly support recovery and function. A glass of beetroot juice after each treatment session to boost nitric oxide production and help blood vessels open up. Half an avocado a day for healthy fats that support natural testosterone production. A bowl of steamed spinach, tossed with olive oil and a bit of garlic. A simple, powerful combination to fight inflammation and relax the blood vessels. And finally, a small piece of dark chocolate, not just a treat, but a flavonoid-rich food proven to naturally improve blood flow. Within just 1 week, Michael came back with noticeable changes. Not only had he regained responsiveness down there, but he felt more energized overall. He was sleeping better, his mood was up, and to my surprise, he told me he'd reached out to an old girlfriend he hadn't spoken to in over 30 years, and they were planning a weekend trip together. All he did was give his body a chance and support it with the right inputs at the right time. The oil and baking soda open the pathway, but the food you choose afterward, that's what keeps the blood flowing, the healing going, and the progress building. You don't have to overhaul everything overnight. You don't need a harsh diet. Just show your body that you're serious about recovery and that you're willing to work with it inside and out. I understand how it feels when you start something new, especially when it involves your health. There will be times when you ask yourself, is this really going to work? Or am I just hoping too much? Or even, am I just trying to convince myself? Those questions are perfectly normal, and I've heard them many times from men who were in the exact same position as you. What I offer isn't a promise. It's the outcome I've seen from thousands of men who committed to this method with patience and consistency. Each person moved at their own pace, but they all had one thing in common. Their bodies began to respond clearly and in stages. Within the first 7 days, most began to notice subtle changes from the inside. There was often a gentle warmth building in the lower abdomen, not caused by external heat, but because blood flow was slowly returning. Some men mentioned their morning erections were coming back, not as strong as in their youth, but enough to know something real was happening. Sleep improved. Nighttime trips to the bathroom started to decrease. Most importantly, there was a new lightness in the pelvic region, as if something that had been blocked was now beginning to release. By the second week, that heaviness in the lower body often faded. Erections became more frequent, sometimes even without the need for direct stimulation. And for some men, something unexpected returned: interest in closeness, in movement, in reconnecting with their own bodies. They began to feel a desire to take care of themselves again. These might seem like small things, but they reflect real change happening on a deeper level. And by the 30-day mark, many no longer saw this as a routine or a treatment, but as something that naturally became part of their lifestyle. Applying the oil, taking time to rest, eating the right foods, these no longer felt like a chore. They felt like the way life should be. Old, narrowed blood vessels began to reopen. Nerve connections improved. Hormones began to regulate, not dramatically, but steadily and reliably. This kind of transformation doesn't happen overnight. But if you stay on the path, what you gain isn't just physical function. It's the feeling of having control over your body again. If you've made it this far, it means you've walked with me through a journey that's neither easy nor common. Most men, when they start noticing their bodies aren't what they used to be, either ignore it or reach for quick fixes that don't last. But you chose to understand your body and try something different. No expensive pills, no weekly doctor visits, just a few simple steps done consistently each night. Castor oil, baking soda, a bit of apple cider vinegar, a few small changes in your meals. They might not seem connected, but when used the right way, they become a complete support system. But the most important part isn't in the ingredients. It's in the fact that you took time for yourself. You made a choice. And you're building a new habit, not just to improve your physical function, but to reconnect with yourself, your partner, and your everyday life. I've met many men in their 60s and 70s who aren't chasing perfection. They just want one thing, to feel like they're still in control of their lives. And I truly believe you can do that too, starting with the small steps you've taken today. If anything I've shared here gave you something to think about, or helped you see a new direction, hit like. Share this with a friend who might need it and leave a comment below. Tell me about your journey, even if you've just started. And if you'd like to support this work so I can keep making real, practical content for men over 60, consider a small donation. Not for me, but for your own health. You don't have to do it all at once, but you do deserve to feel stronger, happier, and more in charge, no matter how old you are.